Tonight, we are going to talk about the movie Greenland, the 2020 film starring Gerard Butler. This movie was directed by stuntman turned director Ric Roman Waugh. Written by Chris Sparling, who originally gained some fame with the movie Buried that ended up starring Ryan Reynolds. Then he went on to write a commercial bomb called Sea of Trees that starred Matthew McConaughey, Ken Watanabe, Naomi Watts. It was directed by Gus Van Sant, who is probably most well known for Good Will Hunting. As I stated earlier, this movie stars Gerard Butler, Morena Baccarin, Roger Dale Floyd, and Scott Glenn. It's sort of a family struggle to stay together and survive during the events of a natural disaster. Now, when I say natural disaster, it is a comet that is on a collision course with Earth. So yes, this is a natural disaster film. When you first go to watch it, it feels like it's going to be just a typical, just world-ending natural disaster movie. But it really doesn't follow the same beats. This movie really does focus on family. The natural disaster just happens to be where this movie's taking place. It delves into humanity and what we may or may not do to survive, how something like that might actually affect you. We focus on one family, but there's a lot of families that they know throughout the film that are reacting in a way that if you really search deep down, you might act that way too. And that's really what this movie brings. You go into it thinking, man, this is just going to be a nice little turn my brain off and watch a disaster movie, similar to what Gerard Butler was in with Geostorm. But this movie kind of sneaks up with the feels on you, really gives you a solid performance by all of these actors, and just makes you care about them. And in a disaster movie, sometimes it's really hard to care for these people. Normally on a disaster movie, you come in, you're just sitting down, you're just watching entertainment. Hey, a bunch of stuff's going to get destroyed. Since this movie kind of breaks from some of that tradition, I mean, it does give you some gratuitous destruction, but it breaks from a lot of that tradition and really focuses on them and just shows you how they react during there and what lengths you would go to save your family. And something like that, I really think deserves to be a little higher. I'm actually giving this movie a 3.5. It really does force you to ask yourself, what would I do in that situation? So can you watch this with your kid? Probably not. It is PG-13, so anyone younger than that, you really should screen it first to see if you'd be comfortable with letting them watch it. But I wouldn't recommend it. There's a lot of themes in here that are dealing with something only people that are a little older might understand. Your mileage may vary. Interesting note on this movie, originally Sam Elliott was going to play the role that Scott Glenn played, but talks fell through and he ended up bowing out and Scott Glenn was cast to play that role. Also, Neil Blomkamp was originally going to direct this movie and Chris Evans was attached. Yeah, that Chris Evans. But they both bowed out due to scheduling conflicts.